show up on your screen. So we are going to record this for parents who maybe were unavailable to attend tonight's meeting, or for any parents who want to kind of go back and look through the slides. The slides will also be posted on the district website, but also our recording of this meeting as well. On our website, we also have a frequently asked questions, and we will update that if we do get any new questions this evening. At the end of this meeting, we will open it up to questions. So please feel free to put your questions in the chat as they come up, and we will make sure to answer them at the end. So thank you so much. Okay, just some friendly reminders for Zoom. I know we've been doing Zoom consistently for the past 4 years, but if you don't mind staying muted, ask all questions in our chat. Once again, we will have a question and answer at the end, and the recording will be available, hopefully no later than Friday, but please give us a week just in case. Okay, jumping into the GATE program here for Huntington Beach City School District. It originally started in 1971, and that's over 50 years of our program, where we are incredibly proud of our program. We're also part of the Orange County consortium of GATE, so we meet with them on a monthly basis and make sure we're aligned with what other school districts are doing in our county, and also we collaborate with LA County as well. We are committed to quality instruction. So all of our students receive a high quality differentiated instruction, which we'll go more deep into. And then also all of our GATE teachers are fully trained and have certificates of GATE completion. And as well as we have yearly professional development that is provided for our teachers. If they need a refresher, or if they would like to attend conferences, we provide all of that for them. Our identification process has been updated. It was pretty archaic. It had been in the process for 20 years prior to 2 years ago. So we wanted to update it with the times. That we changed the testing a little bit to take out the verbal part of it, so that students, it really was just looking specifically at how students think. We still allow students to be tested a total of 2 times between first and fourth grade. So we test all of our first grade students in class with their teachers. There is an opt-out option if parents do not want their child tested in first grade. However, that does count as their first test, even if they do opt out. So that's 1 out of the 2 tries. And then if a student does not pass their first grade year, a parent can choose to have their child tested either their second, their third, or their fourth year. They just need to choose one of those 3 years. We do ask parents when they reach out to us, asking, when would you suggest my child be tested again? We always ask you to conference with the classroom teacher, because the classroom teacher would be the best person to talk to about whether they think that their child or your child would be ready to take the GATE test again. All of our students that are in our GATE program, we monitor them on a regular basis. We want to make sure that every student is having a successful learning opportunity. GATE is not always for every student, and that's okay. And so we want to make sure that they are in the right placement. So we work with the teachers, the administrator, the parents. It is a team decision. It's not just something that the school will automatically make that decision. Parents are definitely part of that. And then finally, we have had questions every year for middle school. Is GATE in our middle school? And the answer is no. We do not have GATE classes in our middle schools. We do have honors and accelerated classes in our middle schools, which can have GATE students in them, but also it's not a requirement. So we also have very high achieving students who maybe did not pass the GATE test, but they're very high achieving. They are able to take honors and accelerated classes in middle school. Okay, I'm just going to give you a minute to just take a look at the screen. These are not all of the characteristics of gifted students, but these are some of them, and probably the most common that we see on a regular basis. A child that is observant, very curious, maintains intense interest, and sometimes the interest is not always academic, but maybe it is something in regards to a video game or a book or a movie, but they do have intense interests. Excellent memory and long attention span. I don't want you to think that your child, because they don't have a long attention span, may not be gifted. It just depends on the age, and it really depends on the topic that the student or the child is working with. As we know, some student or children can be amazed by something they're highly, highly interested in for a long period of time. But if they're not interested in it, their attention span is very short. Well-developed reasoning skills, thinking fluently and originally, coming up with their own ideas, learns quickly, and has a very vivid imagination. Here are our depth and complexity icons that we work with. Our teachers are heavily trained in these. And when you are in GATE classrooms, you will see them throughout the work. Sometimes when the work comes home, whether it's homework or assignments that have been done in class that are sent home, you will see these icons, and they're very well known in the GATE community. So to my left is the depth, which is used to really go deeper into a concept. So I'll give you a small example. If a classroom is reading a book, let's say The Giving Tree by Shel Silverstein. Um, at the end of it, the big idea might be the theme of the story. Some of the details can be the consistency of maybe how the tree changes over time. The ethics could potentially be, was it a good idea to chop down the tree? I hope I'm not ruining the giving tree for anybody by giving some clues about it, but also what patterns are continuously happening. So the way that a teacher would go about is they would read the story and maybe reread it or ask the students to reread it, looking at it through different lenses. And then at the end, most of the time it's what unanswered questions do I have? Let's say if the giving tree continued to happen, or we looked at the giving tree 30 years after the story ends, what would the tree look like then? So it really allows the students to kind of think deeper or go deeper into the concept. Complexity allows the students to show bridge over time or interrelated activities. Sometimes we will say, okay, the giving tree is this in literature, but how does this relate to science? Or how does this relate to maybe an event we learned in social studies? What is the math of the year span of the main character in the giving tree? Multiple perspectives. I know that some books and even some young adult books, there is a chapter by through the viewpoint of a new character. So every chapter is through the viewpoint of a new character. So it's looking at maybe a a moment in time and history and looking at it through multiple countries, maybe if we're talking about a war, or multiple tribes or groups of people that were involved in this activity, and what was each of their perspectives. So that just gives you a little bit of depth and complexity in how those are worked into the curriculum. Our GATE teachers also work with acceleration and novelty. So many times we get the question, is there a separate curriculum for our GATE students? And the answer is no. The curriculum is the exact same. So if you have a second grade student in a GATE class versus a second grade student in a general education class, they're still using the same textbooks. The standards are still the same. So the teachers are still teaching the same concepts. Acceleration lets them go, one, a little bit deeper, like we were talking about, and two, it lets them go a little bit faster because most GATE students don't need the extra practice. They get it pretty quickly. So sometimes I think of like fourth grade when you're learning your multiplication tables, instead of spending maybe 1 or 2 months on multiplication tables, they can maybe go through that quicker because students understand the concept much better. But maybe as a fourth grade teacher, sticking with the multiplication, now we're looking at patterns in the real world of where multiplication takes place. So we're going a little bit deeper instead of just learning our multiplication tables. How does this apply in real life? Or where will we use multiplication in real life? And let's research that. Thinking like a disciplinarian, we could look potentially at a story or a science experiment or a history event. And now we're looking at it through different lenses. Let's look at it through an economist lens. Let's look at it through a medical doctor lens. Let's look at it through, let's say, a geography lens. So the teacher or the students can pick a discipline or a profession that they're interested in and look at an event through that lens. Um, if you have older students in our high schools, we have Model United Nations or MUN, and it's similar to that where they choose a world topic and they pick a country, and then the country, the students have to take on that country's perspective of that event that's going on. So it's similar to that, not exact, but similar. And for novelty, it's making it new and exciting and allowing the students to really have choice and voice. So if we are learning about multiplication, some students are like, okay, we've got it already. But if they're able to choose an example in the real life of, okay, how does multiplication play out if you were a CPA? Or how does multiplication play out if wanted to learn about the stock market? So it allows the students to get into a deeper thinking for it and also allows them to investigate something that they're more interested in. Okay, going over GATE qualifying criteria. We administer in through fourth grade, the Naglieri Nonverbal Ability Test, or many times it's called just referred to the NNAT. We also look at a teacher inventory of gifted and talented characteristics. So your student's teacher will be given if your child meets the criteria to move on to our next steps of the GATE process. Each teacher will fill out an inventory for the student. And then also we have additional validating criteria. So going a little bit more into that. The NNAT is an online screening tool. There is no headphones required. It is simply just the screen with the students, and it's like puzzles. So they're doing puzzles where they get some simple instructions that are verbally said to them, and then they are now doing pattern completion or reasoning, spatial visualization. So really, that is the process. It takes about 30 minutes usually, and we do it in each school has their own testing coordinator. And so they'll be pulled into a small room with If they're first grade, they stay in their own classroom and their teacher administers it inside the classroom. But in second, third, and fourth grade, if you want your child retested, we do a small room and pull those students in to have them tested. We look for two tiers. Tier one is any student who scores a 95 or 95th percentile or above. And then our second tier is between 89 and 94 percentile. So those are the two ranges that we're looking at. Unfortunately, anything below 88 and below does not qualify for this time. The next one, if your child is in tier one or tier two, then we ask their teacher to complete the teacher inventory. And what we're looking for are these 6 areas: their learning, their achievement, their motivation, leadership, creativity, and artistic expression. So we really want to make sure that we hit not only the gifted, but also the talented part of GATE. Originally, we really just kind of focused on those first 3, but we wanted to make sure that we hit the last 3 as well to tap into the talented part as well. And then the other validating criteria, we do look at trimester 2. So that'll be this year's trimester 2, which is in March. Their assessments for language arts and for math. We also look at their trimester 2 report cards in ELA, specifically reading and in math. And then we also look for any special considerations, such as if the student is on an IEP or if the student is an English learner, other things like that. So we really want to try to get a full picture of the student, and we're not solely just basing it off of the GATE test, but we are trying to get a full picture to make sure that the student is successful in our GATE program. For those of you who may be interested, and this might be thinking really far in advance if your students are still young, but this is the middle school honors criteria for students to be placed in our middle school honors classes or advanced classes. So for English language arts and math, starting in 6th grade, the qualifying criteria is their SBAC ELA score, their STAR reading score, their language arts classroom grade, and then also we do our articulated writing prompt score. And so that is a combination of all 4 of those. For math, very similar with the SBAC math score, the STAR math score, and the mathematics classroom grade. We just don't include the articulated writing prompt because that's specifically for language arts. And then for at the bottom, it really specifies that if you are interested, we literally have the breakdown by points on our website under middle school honors course placement. So please feel free to take a look at that, specifically if you are interested in the cutoff points. So this is a bit of a heads up, just so you know what to expect and how this year is going to roll out for GATE placement in our following or our upcoming year next year. So we will notify parents whether their child has been identified as a GATE student or not in April of next year. Please feel free to visit our website and just to help you navigate to find our GATE page on our website. It's under departments, then educational services, and then GATE. There is a GATE placement form. So if we notify you by mail that your child has been identified as GATE, then we are going to ask you to complete the placement form, letting us know that you would like your child placed in a GATE class. Sometimes families have a change of heart, and although their child is identified as GATE, they choose not to have their child placed in the GATE class, and that is absolutely okay. Sometimes we get the question, if my child passes the test in 1st grade, but we don't want to place them in the class for 2nd grade, can we let you know maybe 3rd or 4th grade that we want them to be placed in those classes? Yes, your child score is validated the whole entire time that you're with our district. So if you choose not to have them placed there in second grade, that score stays good. You don't need to worry about it. Just give us a call and let us know when you would like to transition. Now, we ask you just for the sake of the classroom environment and for teachers, we would not transfer a student, let's say, in the middle of the year. We would try to find a natural break at, let's say, trimester 2 or trimester 3, or maybe the following year, just so it is a natural transition. The grading period is all clear. And ready to start fresh with a new teacher. And so we really just ask you to work with us so that we make sure it's a very smooth transition for everyone. And as always, if you have any questions, please contact us. Myself or Edgar, we are definitely happy to help you in any way possible. Once again, we thank you so much for being here this evening. I do not see any questions in the chat, but we will open it up to questions if you would like to put your questions in the chat. And once again, this presentation itself, the presentation alone will be on our district website by Friday. And then our recording, we hope to have of this meeting up by Friday as well. But thank you. If you don't have any questions, this is the end of our presentation. Otherwise, I will stay on for a few minutes to see if any questions come in. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to give it one more minute. I don't see any questions coming in. We got one. If my child is not currently in public school, is there a forum where I should request him to get tested? When will first grade testing take place? Great question. If your child is not in our district, please reach out to us and we will schedule a testing time for you to bring your student in. We try to have a testing environment very similar to the school sites. So we try to have all of our non-public school students come at a convenient time in a small room and we will test them. And like we said, it only takes about 30 minutes. So we just ask parents to wait in the car. And then when they're done, we'll walk them out and we're all set. So yes, please just reach out to us with your information and we can get that scheduled for you. Okay, thank you everyone. Have a wonderful evening and please reach out to us if you have any questions. Take care.